It's always amazing me that I turn on the Zoom because it become since COVID, we used to learn about getting face to face. But it's much easier for people at a certain age. We're at home, all you have to do is click on a button, you don't have to get in the car, drive, and everybody, Mamish, at 8 o'clock is waiting. You know, you see everybody's face there. There's really a Slavus. And from this Dafyomi shear, other shear become small. The Navi shear, the Sorbim Rabbanon shear. The shear keep on growing. Most of us go Thursday night to Tzvika shear. So this Chabura is really round and unequivocal, connected to Torah. As Kenny said, it's created a beautiful Chabura within a Chabura. A wonderful shul and coming together in this way, we should continue to do it. So Kesubos ends, Amra Chiyabarashi, Amra Atidin Salvan Yisroch Shebe'eretz Yisrael She'etanu. The Gemara, right before this piece of Gemara, was describing the various things that are going to happen when Mashiach comes. The door will be, the Pnei door will be Pnei Kelev, and many other descriptions of the tumult that's going to be going on. And the Gemara didn't want to end with the negative thing. So that is the positive thing. What's Ilonei Srak? Ilonei Srak are non-fruit trees. Trees that when you go around in the street, you have maple trees, sycamore trees, they don't have fruit. Of course, they have apple trees, orange trees, fruit. They have dinim, orla, can't eat the fruit for 3 years, etc., etc. But Ilonei Srak are regular trees that don't have fruit. But Asid Lavo, Eretz Yisrael is such a special place that even those trees are going to produce fruit. What kind of fruit are they going to produce? We're going to have to wait till Mashiach comes to see it. Shenema, ki eitz nasa period te'ena v'gefen nos buchelu. That just like the gefen and the te'ena give fruit, so will the Ilonei Srak. So near Hashem, we have the world needs spirituality, and it also needs an infusion of the Mashiach to bring spirituality, which will also produce payrolls. The rest of it's not just for the Jewish people. The Jewish people were the truma of the world, 1/50. There were 70 nations. We're just one of them. But we're supposed to be a guiding light. But near Hashem, the world's going through such tumult. We know Mashiach is about to come because just look around the world and see why it needs. So near Hashem, we should reach that point when we'll see the trees in Israel produce fruit, no matter what kind of tree. Harlach Shnei Derech Zeros, the Slikla was at Kesubos. Harlach Shnei Derech Zeros, Slikla was at Kesubos. Harlach was at Kesubos, right along. Nazir was at Kesubos, right along. Was Nedarim was at Kesubos, was at along. Okay. I think it's at the Sotah.
So we should briefly explain what we learned in Sotah because its very ending doesn't relate to the overall tone of Sotah. The Tratic Sotah deals with the laws of a married woman who is suspected of having committed adultery. A Sotah is an adulteress or a woman who is under legal suspicion of being an adulteress. When evidence of adultery is affirmed in court on the basis of the testimony of 2 witnesses, a woman is established as a Sotah Vadai, a confirmed Sotah. When there's no such evidence, but the woman's actions have that specific criteria that place her under strong suspicion of adultery, she is considered a Sotah Sotah, a suspected Sotah. These criteria and the laws governing the treatment of the suspected Sotah are described in the Torah and are the primary subject of Sotah. Before discussing the unique case of the suspected Sotah, however, let us focus on the basic laws pertaining to the confirmed one. So there's 5 separate things that we discussed. The confirmed Sotah, that's when a woman commits adultery, she becomes prohibited by biblical law to live intimately with her husband, and he must therefore divorce her. A suspected Sotah, that's a woman whose fidelity has been questioned by her husband as a result of her immoral behavior, who has met specific criteria which make it presumptive that an act of adultery did take place. In order for a woman to become a suspected Sotah, 2 events must occur. Kinoi, a warning. Her husband warns her not to seclude herself with a specific man. And Sisira, seclusion. The wife disregards her husband's warning and goes into seclusion with that man for a period long enough for him to be filed. Number 3, the testing of the Sotah or the bitter waters. In order to ascertain the suspected Sotah's innocence or guilt, the Torah sets forth a test to divinely determine this matter. The test is described in the Chumash and is explained at length in the first 3 chapters of Sotah. Number 4, criteria for waiving the test. It should be noted that the woman is not required to drink the bitter waters, but may at any time admit her guilt. She could not be executed on the basis of her own confession, but would be divorced and forfeit her Kesubos payment. Moreover, before the name of God is erased, because the Hashem's name is written on the document, she may simply refuse to drink without admitting guilt and accept a divorce and forfeiture of her Kesubos payment. The test is administered only if she insists on proving her innocence. And the effectiveness of the test. There is no judgment in the Torah whose efficacy is relying upon a miracle except for the Sotah's test. This miraculous phenomenon was a marvel that occurred consistently for Israel as long as the people as a whole were faithful to Hashem. For he desired to maintain his nation in a state of righteousness and purity so that it would be worth having the Shekhinah rest in its midst. For this reason, the test ceased to be effective when the nation descended into immorality in the latter part of the second chapter. So it ends thusly. Mishemesh Rabban Yochanan Once Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai died, the splendor of wisdom ceased. A Baraisa includes additions to this list. Tan Rabbanan, Rabbis taught in a Baraisa, Mishemesh Rabbi Eliezer, Liknos Sefer Torah. When Rabbi Eliezer died, a Torah scroll was interred. What they're saying by that is Rabbi Yeshua was rigorous in darshaning and erudite in halacha. Mishemesh Rabbi Yeshua Butler Eitza Makshava. When Rabbi Yeshua died, counsel and planning ceased. Mishemesh Rabbi Akiva Butler Zerei Torah. When Rabbi Akiva died, the supports of Torah ceased to be. Tatnu Mayanos Hakama. When the wellsprings of Torah were plugged. Mishemesh Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah Butler Atros Hakama. When Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah died, coronets of wisdom vanished. Teres Hakmi. Ashram. For the wealth of wise men is their coronet. What they're saying about Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah is he was very wealthy. He was so wealthy that his annual tithe of newborn calves amounted to 12,000 head of cattle. What's Rabbi Mishmesh Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa Bala Anjan? I say it was Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa died. There used to be people of deeds. Mishmesh Abba Yosef ben Ketonta Bala Hasidim. Once Abba Yosef ben Ketonta died, there used to be pious men. Womanik or Shmo Abba Yosef ben Ketanta Shohayim Vitane Hasidim. And why was he called Rabbi Abba Yosef ben Ketanta? Because he was one of the least of the pious men. Shemesh ben Azai Badu Hashdonim. Once Ben Azai died, there ceased to be diligent scholars. Shemesh ben Zoma Badu Hadarshanim. Once Ben Zoma died, there ceased to be experts in darshaning. Shemesh Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. Once Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel died, Alubove Rabotzoros. Locusts swarmed and tribulations multiplied. By locusts, it could also mean that the Roman soldiers swarmed over the temple area. Shemesh Rabbi Soros. When Rebbe died, the tribulations were doubled. They increased dramatically. The Mishnah concludes. Shemesh Rabbi Batla Anova V'Yiras Hate. Once Rebbe died, humility ceased as well as the dread of sin. There was a correction, however. Omar Le Rav Yosef. The Tana Rav Yosef said to the Tana, Lo Hitze Anova. Do not recite that humility ceased upon the death of Rebbe. Yaka Ana, for there is myself who is humble, thus humility still exists. Omar Le Rav Nachman Latana. Rav Nachman said to the Tana, Lo Titne Yiras Hate. Do not recite that dread of sin ceased upon the death of Rebbe. Yaka Ana, for there is myself who dreads sin. Thus fear of sin still exists. Rupa, Sotah the Masech, the Sotah, the Sotah.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, just want to thank Kevod Achsan, I'd like to thank Johnny and Helene, and of course, I wish them a very big bracha. Helene, Refuas and Yeshuas for everybody. And Johnny, thank you so much for sponsoring tonight. It's a beautiful thing, and it's really appreciated, and it's very novel. I don't know, Johnny seems to come up with a lot of novel things. And of course, to Morada, whatever you want to call it, Morada Astra, whatever you would like to say, to Ernie, who I bench you and Susie, and of course Susie and you together, and all the ladies here, that those spiritual batteries that are taking you forward never run out, because they seem to be so full of energy. And I honestly, I marvel, and I don't know how you do it, but it's a beautiful thing. And what was the first year that we was Messiah in the Shas? We went to Nazir. What year was that?
1997.
1997. That was the first year that we were Messiah in the Shas together. And since then, we've done that many times. And Tzvika and Betty also the same thing. I know you should also have all those brachot to carry on giving those beautiful shurim that you do. And we wish you a lot of good health. And to everybody over here, I know it's coming to Yom Kippur. You know, I especially picked out Nedarim because people don't realize, or maybe they do realize, that when you open your mouth, you get the job. So it doesn't only work like that when you open your mouth. When you say something, HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes that very seriously. So Nedarim, when you make a neder, you have to be very careful when you say something, even a krech, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't like, because there's nothing to krech for. And sometimes we think there is, but the bracha is ready to come out. When you say something positive, it's much better for yourself. And something negative can affect you, even if you're saying it as a joke. And I can tell you from personal experience, people who make jokes about that, and they don't think they're saying something. The Nedarim are chal on everybody. So my bracha to everybody coming to Yom Kippur is, first of all, Esther and myself. I would like to thank Esther because it takes a lot away from her time at night when I'm sitting and learning, and I enjoy that very much. And all the ladies here should have a bracha, that they get the same bracha that we get for learning. And also that everybody, I know that it's coming to Yom Kippur, in case we always have to ask mechila from everybody. We ask mechila from everybody. We have a beautiful chabura, and we should all have a shana of bracha and hatzlacha. So, but when I picked Nedarim, I picked it for that reason. But Nedarim is very racy in the end, so maybe people won't pay attention. So I'd like to say that what says at the end, Hahu no'ev, the al begabe itnatata. The Gemara concludes with one final incident about a certain adulterer who entered the house of a certain married woman.
The women are wondering.
What do they learn? Now you know. Salik no'ev ilim beba. Right?
We like to presume it's all hypothetical.
Yes.
Right? When the man, her husband, came home, the adulterer went and sat behind the door because he hid away. Right? Havi machtan tale taman tamin hivya. When the man and her husband came home, the adulterer went to sit behind the door so that the husband would not know that he was there. Right? So, this is very difficult Aramaic, but this was some crest. Crest is a kind of a vegetable, I guess, that's in water cress in the house, and but not the. So there was some cress lying there in the house, and the adulterer, but not the husband, saw that the snake had come and tasted of it. Now, that interested me more because they talk about the snake. The snake is supposed to be a rattlesnake. So if a rattlesnake puts its mouth into some watercress, I guess that it poisons the watercress. So that's very dangerous. And if the man would eat it, I can tell you from personal experience, snakes are pretty dangerous. So then the Gemara says, Avi machtan tachle tamna timon havie. Bau marai the beta le machal min anu tachle velo data the inta itnata. He didn't know that when the Baal came and he saw this watercress there, he was going to eat it. The adulterer jumped out from behind the door and said to him, please don't eat it. Don't eat it. Lo tuchal min anu tamin havie. Okay, so then we go on. Amarava, itnaita sharia in ita da avid isura, nechale de kulila metu, ichtiv kina afu dam bidehem. The case was brought before Rabbah, who said his wife is permitted to him, for were it so that the adulterer had committed a transgression, it would have been preferable. He would have preferred it that the guy died, right? Eat the cress and die. This is because who commits adultery is also suspected of bloodshed. That's a very strong piece of Gomorrah that maybe the guy is a killer as well, right? So it says because for they have committed adultery and blood on their hands. That's in Yechezkel chapter 23, pasuk 37, indicating that adultery leads to murder. Pshita, ma'ud simple. What are they telling us? It's obvious. Isura abad b'haida amar le nichale de lo limut ba'al. What does Rabbah come to teach us? The Gemara answers, Rabbah's ruling is necessary, right? It's obvious that this is the case. When does Rabbah come to teach? What does Rabbah come to teach us? The Gemara answers, Rabbah's ruling is necessary lest you say that the man did in fact committed transgression with the other man's wife, and the reason that he said to the husband that he should not eat this saved his life because it's preferable for him that a husband should not die. Strange, right? Right? Okay, who said that? Okay, obviously you know the Gemara quite well. So we say this is a famous quote. So we say, okay. Mayim gnuvim yimtaku velechem starim yin'am. Right? Because this is the order the wife should be to him. Stolen waters are sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. That is to say, a person derives greater pleasure from forbidden fruit. Kind of maybe somebody knows that. Rabbah therefore teaches us that this is not a concern. Right? At the end of the Gemara, he says, Kamash Malan. So Rabbah teaches us that this was not the case, right? This was not the concern, and really he did not actually yet sin with this lady, therefore he acted in the proper manner. And that's how the Gemara finishes off. Hadran alach ve'elu nedarim esklita la mesachet nedarim. Hadran alach ve'elu nedarim esklita la mesachet nedarim. Hadran alach ve'elu nedarim esklita la mesachet nedarim.
Why do you think it's
Speaker, you taught me. You got to go on the.
You're a bit by snake. You're a bit by
I was
snake.
bitten by a snake too. I was bitten by a snake. Okay, so it was interesting for me, and I picked the Gemara really because of Nedarim is a very interesting masechet because people don't realize really a pitat peh, even you say something as a joke, that can affect the rest of your life. So I wish everybody a Shana Tova and a Gmar Chatima Tova.
Amen.
I know.
Okay, so I'm going to be Masachet Nazir, and we're back on safe ground here because Masachet Nazir has a famous ending, which that's what I'm going to speak about in a minute. And to preface this, Nazir relates to Yamim Noraim because a Nazir in the whole Masachet is about somebody who wants to elevate them. So want to do more, they want to be more spiritual, so they take on added restrictions. And that's what the Gemara discusses in terms of its major themes. That obviously has to do with these days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur as well. Gemara ends famously, Amar Rabbi Lazar, Amar Rabbi Chanina, Talmidei Chachamim, Marbim Shalom Ba'olam. You heard it here. Sages increase peace in the world. Shnemar, kol banecha l'mudei Hashem. All of your Talmidei Chachamim, all of the people who learn Torah of Hashem, the Rav Shalom banecha, and they increase the banecha. These Talmidei Chachamim, they increase peace in the world. What's super interesting is that this is a very vanilla, a very generic ending, and in fact, 4 Masachot of Shas finish with this exact line. They are, okay, I'm just gonna talk about 4. Brachos, Yevamos, Nazir, and Krisus. And those 4 make up the Roshei Tevos of the word Bonecha. Beis, Nun, Yud, Chaf, Bonai, whatever. And the question is, why? What does this have to do with anything? And the essence is because learning Torah in the real way should increase peace in the world. And when we talk about increasing peace, there are 4 relationships to talk about. There's one is man to God, one is man to man, his fellow man is Kedra. One is Ish le'isha, husband and wife. And the last is body and soul, Nefesh and Guf. And if you think about the 4 Gemaras that are in this word Bonayech, base is Brachos. Brachos obviously deals with creating peace between man and God. How do you make a bracha? How do you daven? We'll skip. Yevamos. Yevamos is about brotherly love. When one brother dies, the other brother takes over in his shoe steps and makes a family in his name. That's Ben Adam L'Chaveiro. Nazir represents peace between a husband and wife. Because as we know, sitting next to Harold, we know the Parsha of Nazir comes after the Parsha of Sotah. And anyone who sees what happens with a Sotah will say, I can't drink wine, I have to be more holy, so that doesn't happen to me. And therefore Nazir represents that holier relationship with one's spouse. And Krisus, which has to do with the mitzvahs that a person does in this world, is in order that he should have a relationship between his body and his soul, that his actions in this world should represent a holier way of life. So therefore you see that at least in those 4 Gemaras, they all have to do with Shalom, and that's what the pasuk has to do with in terms of learning Torah. And the greatness of Torah is that it does increase Shalom in the world, and that's what you see from the end of Nazir. So I'm going to need the thing for the Hadran. Okay, so it's Hadran Alech, Hakusin and Lahem, Hadran Alech, Salika, Maseches, Nazir, Salika. Is that it? Okay.
Go ahead.
Anyhow, now we're back into dangerous territory. So I got Gittin, and we actually get studying Kiddushin now. So my question was, how come we do Gittin before Kiddushin instead of Kiddushin before Gittin? But as everybody knows, Hashem gives you refuah before you give you the makom. So that's why we do Gittin before Kiddushin. We prefer that. Anyhow, I just may get into trouble here. But the last Mishnah in Gittin, I will paraphrase it, I didn't bring it down, is what are the grounds for a man to divorce his wife? So the Shama says, if they finds out that the woman is an adulterous person, that would be grounds. Rav Hillel says, besides being an adulterous person, also if she oversalts the meals, overcooks the meals, burns the meals, that would also be grounds for divorce. Rabbi Akiva says, and this is the punchline. Rabbi Akiva says, if he finds another woman that he likes better than his wife, that would also be grounds for divorce.
So you can get away with it, but the.
Now, I knew I was gonna interrupt that, but anyhow, but that gives me to the segue to the end of the Gemara. Because we would think, say, how can they be so liberal in determining, how can you divorce your wife? And obviously a man, because they it's a man's world in those days, and that's why, okay. So the end of the Gemara, we say like this. The Omar Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi says, Kol megarish ishto rishona. Anybody who divorces his first wife, and by this it means the wife of his youth, basically the first person that he married. Afilo mizbeach morid all of the most. The Hashem doesn't like it, and the mizbeach of Hashem will shed tears. And we learn this from a pasuk in Melachim. This you should further do. Kasos dimo es mizbeach Hashem. Then you cause the mizbeach to be covered with tears. Bechi banoko, with weeping and sighing. Ve'ein od noise ala mizbeach. And if you end up offering a mincha in the mizbeach, and Hashem will not accept it, Umartemi, you're going to say, Alma, why doesn't Hashem accept it? Because Hashem was a witness to your wedding with your wife from your youth. But that you have betrayed her. Though she's your companion and she's the wife of your covenant. So in other words, we end up the Masechta with a strong position that Hashem doesn't want divorces to happen. The Rishonim Acharim didn't want, the Rabbim didn't want divorces to happen, and that's basically the thrust of the Masechta Gittin, that we finish it with the fact that we shouldn't be having any. Okay. So, Adan loch amagashes usliko loch Masechta Gittin. Adan loch amagashes usliko loch Masechta Gittin. Adan loch amagashes usliko loch lo Masechta Gittin.
Someone have a chiyuv to say Kaddish?
But it's okay, you can say it. It's okay.
Where is this? Is this?
Yeah.
Haralach Masechta Kesubos, the Sotah, the Nazir, the Nedarim, the Gittin. Haralach Masechta Kesubos, Sotah, Nazir, Nedarim, the Gittin. That love was not enough Masechta Kesubos, Nazir, Nedarim, Sotah, the Gittin was not enough. Obama didn't know about us. You're talking about the same. Shretetus come to Sibla Mazete, Manolo. Ani bar papa, Rami bar papa, Nachman bar papa, Chai bar papa, Adonai bar papa, Rafi bar papa, Rachi bar papa, Circle bar papa, the bar papa, Torah bar papa. Heart of that allows to make to ourselves, the feel some of it, Israel, and everyone on Apple, it's the same. It's the Torah of it, Israel, and the Shnach of Israel. All right, the Hakim is with a lot of me. You don't tell me, but we can't go away. All the work of the Gittin, his son. ברוך אתה עולה רבנו חוקך, אמן, 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 שר הדברים. עודים אנחנו נתן בנאמר ועושה. ששם בבקר יש לו ביס המדרש, ושם בבקר יש לו כלל. שאנו משקיעים והם משקיעים. אנו משקיעים עובדים בישראל, והם משקיעים כבר בתל. אנו המלם והם המלם. אנו המלם מקבלים שכר, והם המלם ואינם מקבלים שכר. אנו רצים והם רצים, אנו רצים חיים למבוא, והם רצים בגרשחס. שנאמר, ואתה מהם תורדים בגרשחס, אנשי דומים ומימה ויחזיניהם ואני אבטחו. והצורך נחל עליהם ומשקשים שעזרתן נסיים מסכת Kesubos, the Sotah, the Nazir, the Nedarim, the Gittin, came to Zoyim Laskir and Sechtosis from Achay, who was silent. Phil Lavlani, Lishma Blassos. What kind of cultivates some of the Sursach now? Schusko to live around some Chachamim, and a little Zari, Thomas and Turbati, Zari, the Zari, and it's kind of be this Lachatan Chamasach, Shafatish Malach, like it's a Sach, Dir Bemecha, the Sikubash Maschai. Archway, the Minamis Malash, Kabul.
Amen. Amen. Shmei Rabba Mevarak, Ve'olam Yomei Le'omayo. Amen.